It's time to fire this thing up.
Welcome aboard ShipShape TV Essentials. This is your port of call for the most impactful upgrades, expert advice, and hands-on solutions from seasons past. This episode is proudly brought to you by SureHold, because anything worth doing is worth doing bright. From cleaning to protecting and perfecting, SureHold has everything you need to keep your boat shining. Don't just go boating, go showboating. Now, let's hoist anchor and set a course for another exciting episode of ShipShape TV Essentials.
If boating's your game, then you'll agree. ShipShape is the way to be. Out on the lake or on the sea, ShipShape means trouble-free. ShipShape means being neater. ShipShape makes boat work easier. ShipShape is the way to go. The ShipShape Boat Care Show.
ShipShape, Florida's only boat improvement show, is being brought to you in part by Freedom Marine, where we take a bite out of the high-priced boat dealers, and by the paint professionals at Cape Marina, located in Port Canaveral, and by Florida Watercraft, now with 2 locations to serve you, and by the friendly folks at Boathouse Discount Marine. If you need it, we probably have it.
Thanks for tuning in to ShipShape, the Boat Improvement Show. I'm John Greviskis, and I'm on location today in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, at Sailorman, the world's largest and most unique new and used marine emporium. In today's show, we're going to talk about anchors and the controversy going on with anchors. We're going to show you some of the anchors that are used for different bottoms, as well as some of the new technology in ground tackle. As always, if there's a suggestion for a project that you'd like to see covered here on ShipShape, write us a letter or send us a fax.
Write your project suggestions to ShipShape, the TV show. Attention Project Director, Post Office Box 31561, Palm Beach Gardens, Florida 33420. Or fax us at area code 407-626-4348.
And remember, guys, if we use your suggestion on the show, we're going to send you a free t-shirt, so you'll want to keep those suggestions coming. But right now, we need to hear a word from our sponsors, but you're going to want to stick around, because when we come back, we'll introduce you to Chuck Fitzgerald, the owner of Sailorman.
Don't drift off. ShipShape will be right back.
Hi, I'm John Greviskis with ShipShape TV. Look at this guy and all the products he needs to maintain his boat. I guarantee you he'll be tripping over that stuff all day long. Forget that nonsense. Use what I use, the SureHold family of products, the one handle that does it all. Any one of these quality-built SureHold attachments easily locks right into place, and here's the best part. They're the best quality items money can buy. You have my word on it. Whether it's for your car, truck, RV, or boat, keep it ship-shape with SureHold products. I'd like to introduce you to Chuck Fitzgerald, the owner of Sailorman. Chuck, thanks so much for having us out today.
John, thanks for coming.
Now, you're the local authority on anchors, and there's quite a bit of controversy going on with anchors. What style people should buy. Could you kind of clarify that for us today?
We'll certainly try. We do carry quite a variety of anchors, and I've talked to enough people that have tried each of them that we probably can give you some insight as to what specifically would suit each need.
Well, let's go take a look at them.
All right. John, this probably is the single most used anchor out there on the water today. It's one that probably because of its cost is that way rather than its performance. It's a Danforth style standard fluke lightweight anchor.
Mm-hmm.
As I say, it's one that's all right for a fellow in a 15, 18, 20, 22, 24-foot boat, but as the boat gets larger and the stresses get more, we suggest that you go to a similar anchor, but different material and different method of manufacturing it.
Before we get into that, Chuck, can you kind of give us an Anchor 101 and tell us all the different components of the anchor?
Sure. This one's pretty easy. This is the shank.
Okay.
And below that, or beside that, you have two flukes holding the anchor together, and basically what rests on the bottom when the anchor is attempting to set is the crown, that's this, and then this long bar across the bottom is called a stock.
Okay. Now, simulate on the concrete the anchor being in water. How does the anchor actually dig in?
Okay, basically this is would lay flat on the bottom or on the crown as it is, and this shank, depending upon the amount of scope that you have, recommended minimum of 5 times the water depth, this angle is going to change. Obviously the less angle there is here, the closer to flat that the shank is, the more propensity there is for the flukes to set.
Okay.
And to facilitate this laying down flat, we strongly urge that you use a minimal amount of chain of, say, on this size anchor, 6 feet, 8 feet, but honestly the more chain you use, the better off you are.
Because you're going to add weight to the end of the anchor, is that correct?
So in most situations when you're anchoring, you're not hopefully in a very strong current or heavy wind, but if you are, you'll find that this would bounce along the bottom if this angle were not lessened, and that's what the chain does for you.
Okay. Now this anchor is made out of cold rolled steel, is that correct?
Correct.
Now what's the next anchor that we're going to take a look at?
Okay. The next anchor would be the Danforth high-tensile anchor. Similar in design, with the exception that they use high-tensile steel.
Okay.
The way the strength is obtained on these flukes is a bend.
I see.
And that does obviously make these more rigid, but it's not as good as what they've done on this, and they've actually welded a triangular piece of steel, high-tensile steel, to the inside of the
Let's take a look at that.
flukes.
Okay, this is the piece that they just welded on here.
Right.
And that really adds the strength to this.
It adds strength to it. It also keeps, on this model, because of the flukes being in opposite directions, it has a tendency to dig in on one side and not the other.
Okay.
Where because of this uniform piercing triangle, it has a tendency to dig both flukes in simultaneously. Again, the same philosophy with the chain holding the shank down.
Well, let's take a look at another extreme of an anchor.
All right.
You have this one up here, which just looks to be a very large version of our anchors down here.
Exactly. This is the main difference between this anchor, which is designed after the high tensile Danforth by virtue of as you see, the pieces welded to the inside of the flukes. This is made out of high tensile and high tensile aluminum alloy, and because of that, you can have the same holding power, which is basically derived from the surface area of the flukes, in a much lighter anchor because of the nature of its material it is made of.
Now, Chuck, this appears to look like it slides. Is there any reasoning behind that?
Yeah, I think there are a couple of reasons. The reason that they, of course, advertise is that you can remove the flukes, the shank, the crown, the stock, the crown, and store it in pieces below deck.
Oh, that makes sense.
Therefore, you can have a much larger anchor and still not have to drag it through the boat and topside when you need a storm anchor. Also, it makes it easier for the manufacturer to package it and send it to distributors because it's a much smaller piece.
Sure. Again, now this is an aluminum alloy. If you were talking about a cold rolled steel or a different steel alloy, it would be much heavier than this aluminum alloy.
Of course, yeah. This weighs about 60% of the same physical size high tensile anchor. So you're gaining, you're not sacrificing anything as far as holding power because that's derived from the surface area of the flukes. However, you've got a much easier anchor to handle. The drawback of this is the price consideration. It's quite a bit more money than a similar size Danforth high tensile.
Let's get into a price a little bit here, Chuck. We talked about the most common anchor. What are we looking at price-wise on this?
This little 8-pounder we sell for $11.
Okay.
And that's why it's so universally used, because of the price.
Now, efficiency-wise, do you recommend that anchor being on a lot of the boats out there?
Depending upon the nature of the boater, most boaters that would use an 8 or 13-pound anchor are not going to be spending the night and asleep. They're not going to be necessarily leaving the boat at anchor for 2 or 3 days or weeks at a time. So if this is just to stop you over your favorite fishing spot or to run up on the beach and put in the beach while you're swimming, it's a very adequate piece.
Okay.
But for one that you have to depend upon, for the boat being there, if you're diving and you come back up, you don't want to see it floating away from you when you're in 100 feet of water and 3 miles offshore. You want to have something that you know is strong enough to hold the boat, and as well as have a better likelihood of setting, which is the overall thing that's most dependent in all of anchoring. Is getting the anchor to set.
Price, what are we looking at this anchor?
That probably, without going to the books, is about $40, $45. So it's 3 or 4 times the cost of the cold rolled steel.
I gotcha. But when we come back from this short break, Chuck and I are going to get into some of the rougher seas anchors that are available. But we need to hear a word from our sponsors.
Don't float away. ShipShape. We'll be right back.
Why wax when you can pro polish? This premium protective wax from Surehold can be used on virtually any non-porous surface, such as cars, boats, RVs, home equipment, and more. Pro Polish is scientifically formulated to repel water, provide a deep, high-gloss shine, and protect surfaces from the effects of UV rays, salt water, and other harsh environmental elements. Unlike traditional waxes, Pro Polish contains no talc or fillers, which means easy wipe-on, wipe-off performance that doesn't clog up microfiber towels. Enjoy a new way to protect with Surehold's Pro Polish. Surehold, clean and simple.
Chuck, this is really weird. What is this?
Well, this is a deployed version of a folding grapnel anchor, and one would use this probably on an inflatable or a smaller boat where you worry about the flukes, in this case there are 4 of them, puncturing your inflatable, or if you just want a simple stowable package. And that would be good only...
That's really clever.
Yeah. It's really only good enough to hold on to rocks or protrusions. You don't have any surface area on the flukes, so it's good for throwing up on the beach when you're trying to anchor your boat to the beach, or dropping in a rock area where it has a likelihood of catching on a rock, but not a particularly an anchor that you want to spend the night on the boat knowing that this is holding you.
It's probably not a good idea.
No.
Well,
but
show
it
us
has
some of the
its
other
use.
anchors that you have here, Chuck.
Well, this is a little bit larger brother of that. It's also a grapnel anchor that's designed to catch rocks and hold you in that regard. Also, it's pretty inexpensive. It's made out of re-rod, concrete re-rod, with a steel weight down here at the bottom. And this one has a trip on it, so that if it does get caught, you have another line coming up, and you can pull the anchor upside down so that it doesn't hopefully tear off any parts of reefs or whatnot, or if it gets engaged in a cable or something, you still have a likelihood of being able to retrieve it if you put a trip line on it.
When choosing an anchor, Chuck, would you take into consideration the geography in which you live?
The main part of anchoring is getting the anchor to set. When I say set, the weight of any of these anchors on a 50-foot boat in a 20-knot wind, if they didn't set, they're not going to hold the boat. They're just going to bounce along the bottom. So the main thing is to get the anchor to bury itself in the bottom. So each anchor has a different approach and has different strata that it performs best in. We have this anchor we talked about earlier, Fortress. This is designed primarily as a sand anchor. Most anchorages, if you look at them on your chart and they say this is a good area to anchor, generally the preferred bottom is sand. That's where all these anchors do best. They set the best and they give you the most holding power. To offset that, if you use this anchor in mud, this company makes muck flaps that actually bolt on to the stock and make it hold better in mud. Still, you're not going to get the same holding power in mud as you do in sand. It's not going to be anywhere near as good. But that's why there's such a variance in the styles of anchors, because of the bottom strata and the theory that they have of making the anchor set.
Now this anchor over here, Chuck, almost looks like a plow. What is this one
well,
here?
Let's start. Actually, this is a delta anchor, and it's made plow-like. It's made by the same company, CQR, or Simpson Lawrence in England, that made this. This is the forerunner of this. This has been around for years and is real popular on cruising sailboats.
Okay.
Particularly European cruising sailboats, I guess because it's made there. But and it basically is called a plow anchor. The difference between this particular CQR anchor and the other plow anchors that we have, this is a forged shank, which gives it a great deal more strength than a fabricated shank like we have on really all the other plow anchors. So it's definitely a preferred anchor, but because of that and because of the expense in making it, it's quite a bit more expensive than just a standard, quote, plow anchor.
Now, Chuck, that barnacle anchor next to you looks really unique. Tell us about that one.
Well, this is one probably of the more unique anchors that we carry. This was derived from a wishbone anchor, which used to be made up in Pompano. The company's long since out of business. But basically the theory is that because of the weight of the shank and the weight of the fluke, the anchor is designed to hit the bottom thusly. Because of this angle, it's designed to dig into the sand or bottom,
Right.
In such a manner as to bury itself, where pretty much the same theory as the rest of the anchors, where you really don't even see the anchor. It goes beneath the surface. John, I want to show you something real quick here. This is what we recommend for your 15 to 18 foot boat. It's this is a wishbone anchor. This came off about 125 footer.
What is
And
this thing? Does this thing move here?
Oh yeah, that's the fluke. Obviously, it's a little bit bizarre design. It used to be made up in Pompano many years ago, but
Yeah.
subsequently out of business. This is the forerunner of the barnacle anchor.
Okay.
And they've changed the design to make it easier to stow, but the concept is the same. If you can imagine this part missing,
Sure.
that's
Sure.
the barnacle anchor.
Well, I'll tell you, Chuck, that's quite an anchor.
Yes, it is. It's one that I'm glad I don't have to deploy for my boat and try to bring it back.
Chapman's Corner is brought to you by Chapman School of Seamanship.
Today on Chapman's Corner, we want to talk to you about a vessel's magnetic steering compass and show you basically how to utilize it to stay on a nice steady course. This is your standard small boat magnetic compass. It's made up of a hemispherical plastic dome which needs to be protected from the sun. You have a compass card in there with your different compass headings marked on it. And you have a center line, which we're going to call the lubber line. That represents the center line of the vessel. That's the line to which we steer to. So in this particular case, I'm going to take up a heading, let's say, of magnetic north. I'm going to turn my vessel to the right. I'm now on a heading of 000, steady on 000 north. A couple things you need to keep in mind. Never take any type of a magnetic object and place it next to that compass. You can see what it does to it. Swings it out 30, 40, 50 degrees. Another thing you want to check on your compass is that the light is working properly. The light is a red light for at night. If we don't use a red light, we can develop night blindness, and we're going to have a hard time seeing background lights. From Chapman School of Seamanship, this is Tom Dante.
Now, a couple of weeks ago, we looked at the Godfrey pontoon boat here at Freedom Marine in Melbourne, Florida. Today, we're going to take a look at the Hurricane deck boat that's also built by Godfrey. With me again is Frank Conte, the sales manager at Freedom Marine, and naturally, we have Kobe, the Freedom Marine mascot. Frank, thanks so much for having us out here today.
Good morning.
Now, tell us a little bit about the boat, Frank.
The Hurricane deck boat is built up by Godfrey Marine out of Elkhart, Indiana.
Okay.
It's a full fiberglass bottom boat on it. It kind of it's the best of both worlds. It gives you the space, room, performance, space and room of a pontoon boat.
I've got
but
you.
also the speed and performance of a sport boat.
Well, hey, that's great. Now, when we were talking about that pontoon boat a couple of weeks back, we were looking at putting like a 40 to 60 horse power engine on that boat. What about this one?
Yeah, basically when you're getting into a Hurricane deck boat, what you would want to do is you want to power the boat up on it because it is actually a planing hull, unlike the pontoon boat, which is a displacement type of hull.
So you're talking about this boat would be much more ski friendly.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Much more performance. If you're looking to cruise longer distances or ski on it, it's an excellent boat for that.
Well, you know, Frank, the boat looks really versatile. Can we talk about some of that versatility?
Yeah, the big thing on the deck boat is it's got a modified V hull that actually has pontoons on it, which creates an extreme stability to the boat on it.
So it's probably real good for fishing.
Yeah, excellent for fishing. It rests the boat. It's one of the most stable platforms that you could ever find out there on the water.
Great.
And around here we got a lot of shallow water, so the draft is real important. So the boat does not draw a lot of water. You can get into about a foot of water with the Hurricane.
Well, hey, that's incredible. That's incredible. The boat's obviously laid out to cruise our rivers, as well as probably a lot of the lakes out there.
Yeah, they make a couple different models in it. Actually, they built 50 different models, but they've got fishing models, they've cruising models, they've got sun deck cruising, fishing. I mean, it kind of covers the whole gamut of the boats.
So what you're talking about is whether you're going like ocean, or whether you're going lake, or whether you're going river, this boat's going to do it all.
That's correct.
Let's talk about some of the other features on the boat. What are some of the amenities that the boat
decks
comes
are all a full fiberglass deck on the Hurricane, unlike the pontoon boat where you have a wooden deck. These are a full fiberglass deck on it.
Okay, what about electronics on the boat?
Oh, electronics, they come, basically you've got your VHF radio if you're going to go going offshore on it, but your basic stereo, your instrumentation, your gauges are all standard equipment.
This boat is a party boat. This is laid out to have fun. Now what about live bait wells?
Now live bait wells are standard equipment on all the fishing models, as are the pedestal fishing seats and trolling motor plugs is all standards.
Well, hey, that's great. Now I'm leaning on something real unique here. Tell us what's going on with this trailer.
This is a custom winch post on it, designed by us on it for the Hurricane deck boats.
Okay, so actually you could probably just drive this boat right on
drive
up
it
here.
right on, yes.
Well, hey, that's nice. Let's talk about this trailer. Again, it looks like it's the hot dip galvanized steel.
This is the hot dip galvanized steel on here.
Frank, ballpark figure, what are we looking at price-wise for this boat?
Price-wise on it, you're in the $12,000 range. On a package like this, boat, motor, and trailer.
And your boats, your deck boats range from 17 foot to what?
24 feet.
Okay, fantastic. Now, if we're looking at monthly payment, just ballpark. I know you can't give a specific
monthly
number.
investment with, say, between $500 and $1,000 down, you're in the $150 a month.
So it's very affordable.
Very family affordable.
Now,
yeah.
how do people get to Freedom Marine, Frank?
We're located right on US 1 in Melbourne, Florida. We're a half a mile south of the Pineda Causeway.
So if we're going north on 95, we're going to pass 192. We're going to go to the next exit.
Yeah, come up to exit 73.
Okay, 73.
And follow it into US 1.
Okay.
And then we're a half a mile south on the river.
Fantastic. Frank, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you, John.
We'll see you real soon.
Thank you.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's show. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember, when deciding on which anchor is right for you, don't let your decision weigh you down. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
If boating's your game, then you'll agree. Ship shape is the way to be. Out on